It's always fucking weak ass dudes, man. They're like, yeah, you can get a great workout in 45 minutes. Yeah, you can break a sweat and you can feel your muscles burn and you can feel strong, but guess what? You ain't strong.
I am Judd Lienhard, former Army Ranger, college linebacker. I've been a strength and performance coach for over 15 years. Let's get into it.
So really the split you should do really matters more on like what your life is like and what you prefer, rather than there being one optimal split. If you're a total body guy, if you're a functional fitness guy, and I love all that stuff, don't be so fucking snooty. How's it going? Today, the podcast is going to be about bro splits, the black sheep of the athletic training community. Okay, specifically in defense of bro splits. So some of you that listen to my podcast often, or follow me on YouTube or whatever, you may have heard a podcast I did a while back in defense of training total body. And I stand by this, but this is an exercise in perspective and context, which those are two words that I always come back to and I believe is extremely important. And they are something that's lacking in today's society in general, and specifically in the fitness community and social media, especially because people make money off of taking things out of context. We are naturally inclined to view things with a very concrete perspective. We don't like changing perspectives. It means stepping out of our comfort zone. It requires a lot of critical thinking, viewing movement parts, being adaptable maybe. All those things kind of tie in there. They live in the same world and it makes things kind of gray and muddled and complicated. But unfortunately, as much as we try to simplify the world, and I think there's some value in simplifying our worlds and creating tenets that we can live by and follow, and so we don't miss the forest for the trees. Unfortunately, a lot of times when we simplify things too much, when we oversimplify things, and then we stick to those doggedly, then we get led astray. So today, I'm going to talk about bro splits, and I'm going to defend them a little bit. So, most of you know what a bro split is. We have slightly different definitions. Sometimes people consider a bro split, you're just working one muscle group a day. That's kind of on the extreme end. Like you go in, you just train chest, or you just train, it's usually not triceps, but arms. Like you have an arm day. Okay, it's kind of on the extreme end, but there's like variations of bro splits where you train like push or chest and triceps, and those are considered, or back and biceps. Those are kind of bro splits as well. Now, when we can train muscle groups that are trained in similar movement patterns together, I'm always going to think that's better, all things being equal. But let's just say that somebody likes just going in and training chest, or like just going in and training like quads, let's say, why would they do that? Who would it benefit? And what are some upsides to that? Okay. So lately, if you watch social media and Instagram, there's a lot of pushback on bro splits. And honestly, the total body defense, that was low hanging fruit for me. I knew that one was going to be popular because total body workouts are getting more popular lately, and for good reason. It's something that I think we forgot about a lot in the 80s and 90s, because so many bodybuilders were doing bro splits, and everybody, and that was who we modeled our training after. And then it kind of started with CrossFit and Jim Jones and, some just social media in general. We had more access to how elite programs train, and elite programs, like athletic programs, they do not do bro splits, And so that kind of seeped into like the general population. And we started to see the value in total body training. And rightfully so, it's great. If you want to go back and watch the episode, I encourage you to do that. So everything I said about total body training remains. All right. But here's the thing. Total body training is great for athletes. It's great for people that have a large energy reserve. It's great for people that might not be able to make it to the gym on a consistent basis. It's great for people that want to do athletic stuff outside of the gym and don't want to be incredibly sore. It's great for people, that they might not be able to make it in the gym every day, and also their, schedule needs to be flexible. They might have to miss a day or push a day. It's great for people that love like varied exercise, and they like to be able to do a lot of different types of exercise that don't fit really well with one muscle group. So like total body training is great. And for most people out there, if they had asked me what should you do, and if I didn't know anything about them, I'm like, well, look at total body training first. Okay. For a lot of reasons, that some of which I stated, but there are others. But if some people, they tell me what their goals are, what their schedule's like, and what they prefer. And I'm like, you might want to consider body split training. And I know it's sacrilege. So what's some arguments against body split training? Well, the first one, and it's the one that pisses me off the most, is not quote unquote functional. Now, while it is true that, our bodies don't work in isolation, rarely in the real world do we go out and we just tax our chest, okay? When we tax our bodies, we normally tax our whole bodies. And movements don't really occur in isolation. They occur systemically in real life. And so, that is a strong argument that like, hey, maybe our training should mirror that, like it'll support that, it just goes well. It just fits. But then people take that because they lack logic and they think, well, then if I do split training, it'll make me less athletic. Like instead of just, it's a subtle but important difference. While body split training may not be as great to enhance and support athleticism, and then they take the next step and like, well, if it doesn't support it, then it must make it worse. Then if you do body split training, you'll become less athletic, right? So people that do body splits training, ipso facto, they must be less athletic. To stay lean, we basically need to do these three things. Make sure we get enough protein, don't eat too many calories, and limit our sugar. David protein bars cover all three bases. Most protein bars are either A, loaded with sugar, B, loaded with fat, or C, taste like cardboard. Not David. David protein bars, their gold bars, have 28 grams of protein, 150 calories, and 0 grams of sugar, and they taste great. They have the best protein to calorie ratio of any bar on the market. To get free shipping on your first order, go to davidprotein.com/Judd. That's davidprotein.com/JUDD. The link is in the show notes. I love them. Give them a try. I know you will too. Now, tangent here, but there are a lot of bodybuilders out there that were athletes when they were younger and are just naturally athletic people, and they like to bodybuild now. So they do a lot of body split training. They don't do a lot of athletic training anymore. And the weird thing is, and we've all seen bodybuilders like try to move athletically, and they don't look very good a lot of times. And normally social media likes to take the bodybuilders trying to do that aren't looking very good and like highlight that. But growing up, especially bodybuilders that aren't on an enormous amount of steroids and they've gotten like extremely big and heavy, dudes that just like to bodybuild, like growing up, there were some actually pretty good athletes that were bodybuilders, because there's bodybuilding that make them better athletes, but they were good athletes and they'd go out and do some pretty athletic stuff, and they like doing some sports on occasion, and they look pretty athletic because, played football in high school, played basketball in high school, and they have a long history of athletic training. And then you have these dudes that they didn't really do shit athletic growing up. Like really. And then they get into fitness, and then they start doing like CrossFit. And I'm not ragging on CrossFit again, because CrossFit's great. It's fine. And they start doing, they get into like functional guru shit, and they start doing like total body flows and Indian clubs. And it's all good. I love all that stuff. It's great stuff. But then they just think they're all of a sudden super athletic. It's like, oh man, there's a big gap between what you're doing, and even though it helps it's a big part, right? Got it. Cool. And being a good athlete. Right. And then it's just, you would be shocked how many dudes that all they do nowadays is bodybuild. And if they went and competed in something athletic against a guy that did functional guru type training, and that the dude would just fucking stomp him into the ground. And it's not saying that the bodybuilding training is better than the functional training. It's just, man, there's a lot more to athleticism than what you do in the gym. And I think we should know that, right? So the whole point there is like, listen, if you decide for a while, especially, or it just fits to your schedule better, which I'll go into in a minute, it's not going to ruin your athleticism. Like going in for a few weeks and having a back day, or having a chest day, or having a quad day, God forbid, that is not going to ruin your athleticism. Okay. Yeah. We can all agree, most of us anyway, that like training body parts in isolation isn't the best way for athletes to train. I would not go into any Division I. I would not go into any college program or high school program and be like, you guys need to start having a chest day. Now, there may be times during the year based on periodization where some body split training is appropriate for reasons I won't get into, like an upper lower split or something like that, or even a push-pull legs or something like that. Might be fine for a college program for a month or two, whatever. Maybe even not ideal, but whatever. But yeah, so yeah, not ideal, but it's not going to ruin your athleticism. I beat that horse to death. So let's move on. All right. Now, why would they want to consider doing this? So like I said, for total body training, it's when like you can't get, there's no guarantee you can get to the gym every day. You know, like you can get maybe 2, maybe 3 days a week. You have kids, something comes up. You need to be real flexible. You can't really afford something being super sore, right? But then you have these people, like their schedule's real consistent, right? So, you know, when I start working with somebody, first thing I ask them, like, you know, what's your schedule like? What's your daily rhythms? When you like going to the gym? Do you like being in the gym? A lot of them, they like going to the gym. It's like a social outlet for them. So they like being in there several days a week. They kind of live in a cold place. So outdoor activities during certain times of the year, kind of limited, you know, so gym's the most convenient for them. And their schedule is so consistent. And it's like, yeah, they can't spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in the gym, but they can get there pretty much 5 to 6 days a week, no problem. And they want to. And I'm like, oh man, you might want to consider body split training in some form. Now, it doesn't have to be a pure bro split. Like you don't have to have a chest day and an arm day, but you might want to consider push-pull legs or upper, lower, maybe even something like that. There's a lot of different splits that we can talk about that are great. And here's the thing too, total body training is great. And while it doesn't tax any one muscle or movement pattern so much that you're so sore, that's one of the best things about it, and it lets you have more frequency, it's very systemically taxing. So when you do a full body day, even when you reduce the volume of the movements themselves, like you don't do 30 sets of legs, you do like 6 sets of legs, you're working your whole body and you come out of there pretty drained. And when you train a body split, like just chest or even just legs even, right? Especially if you like just do quads or something, right? You're not going to leave there completely freaking shredded or like completely toasted, right? And a lot of people, they don't really mind having one body part sore. They even kind of enjoy that, but what they don't want is to leave the gym completely just torn down every single time. And if you do total body training, right, you shouldn't be torn down, but you're going to be fatigued. You're going to like feel a little tired. It's a good thing. So if you're the kind of person like you want to do that 2 or 3 times a week and you'll feel drained that night, a little bit more tired the next day, but you know, you'll feel good, then total body training for sure. But if you just want one body part to be really sore, and you want to be just a tiny bit tired and still go home and play with your kids and have energy, then, you know, maybe body split training is not that bad. So let's go to the next thing. So, okay, a lot of evidence has come out lately that muscle size and muscle strength is enhanced better with more frequency. So we've crossed that bridge then, and then like, well, body split training by definition, you only train one body part at the extreme end once a week. That's not ideal frequency. It's not my least favorite word. It's like on the opposite end of context and perspective. It's fucking optimal. It fucking makes me want to throw up in my mouth. That's not optimal. So we've stretched optimal now into meaning it's worthless. So if something is suboptimal, it's not a big leap for us to then go, yeah, it's worthless. That does nothing. It's worthless. It's waste of time. We love to say that. And because we hear that, our favorite influencers are always saying it's worthless, waste of time, it's garbage, right? Because that's what gets clicks. That's what sells their fucking, whatever they're selling, you know? They exaggerate. And then that's the best way to exaggerate is say something that studies might show is suboptimal. And when you go and read the literature, even though there's a statistical difference, it's not that much suboptimal. And then they take that and they say it's worthless. So training a muscle group only once a week is not worthless. Okay. People that do that, if as long as the volume is there and the intensity is there, they still see benefits from it. Okay. So it's not worthless. And here's another thing we forget about. As long as we're still doing compound movements, so like a bench press, incline dumbbell press, a row, a chin up, we are never training that muscle in isolation. We are training a movement pattern. So if we're going to train chest on one day and we're going to do any kind of pressing, that's not only going to work our chest, it's going to work our front delts. It's even going to work on our medial delts to some extent. It's going to work our triceps. It's going to work more than just our chest, right? So later in the week, when we have a quote unquote shoulder day, we're then going to hit our front delts again. We're going to hit our medial delts good. If we're doing any kind of, even overhead pressing, believe it or not, does work your chest a little bit. It does, especially the clavicular attachment. You're going to get your triceps again. So right there, you're getting 2 stimuluses a day or 2 stimuluses a week rather. All right. And the same goes for like back day. So let's say you have an arm day, right? So if you have a chest day, a shoulder day, an arm day, you're hitting your triceps 3 times a week. You know, if you have an arm day, you're hitting your biceps that day, and then you hit them again on your back day. And then you also hit your rear delts on your back day. If you have a shoulder day and you're doing a kind of upright rowing or even overhead pressing or even lateral raises, you're hitting your traps a little bit. A lot of people like to put their shrugs in on that day too. Some people like to put the shrugs in on their back day. It doesn't really matter. So you're hitting your traps on your shoulder day and you're hitting your traps on your back day a little bit. And then let's say you're one of those people and you like to just hit quads on their own day. Well, if you do any kind of squatting or any kind of lunging, you're also working your glutes, working your hamstrings a little bit. You're not just working your quads. And then if you have a leg day or like a hamstring day and you do any kind of hinging, well, guess what? You're working your glutes again, you're working your hamstrings, you're also working your back, your whole back, your erectors, but you're also working your lats, you're also working your traps. So even when you do body split training, even the most extreme versions of it, you're still hitting your muscles more than once a week, right? Is it optimal? No, probably not. I'm never going to say that having a chest day and a back day, all things being equal, is optimal. That's not what I'm saying. All right. But it's effective. And it's not just effective for steroid users. That's another thing we like to say. And I've said it in the past too. And there is some truth here, right? That's the most dangerous statement, is something that has a little bit of truth, right? The worst kind of lie is a lie that's a partial truth, right? It's most insidious. So body split training became popular because it's extremely effective for enhanced users or or people on steroids, enhanced athletes, right? And there's all kinds of moral implications that goes along with that. And we love to hate on people that use anabolics, even though that's their choice and they're not competing with you, and get the fuck over it. Okay. I take testosterone. If that negates everything I'm saying here, then so be it. If you don't find value in what I say, even though I was a natural athlete, a successful natural athlete until I was 40 years old, and then I started using, and I didn't just use TRT, folks. I experimented with a lot of different types of anabolics, right? And I can talk about that as much as you guys want, all right? The goods and the bads. And it definitely helps, for sure, 100%. So if in your mind, if you're that much of a fucking simpleton that you think that anything I say is worthless, then go ahead, just stop listening now. I don't give a fuck. All right. So, but people that are enhanced, yes, they can handle more volume on one day. They can get more out of that volume. They can recover faster, but also they stay anabolic longer. So body split training works better for them. It doesn't mean, see, this is the thing, context, perspective, remember? Don't make leaps that aren't justified. It doesn't mean that body split training isn't also effective for natural athletes. For years in the 80s and 90s, when people emulated what bodybuilders did, they still saw progress. There's lots of big, strong natural dudes in the 80s and 90s. Believe it or not, I grew up in that era. There are lots of dudes that I was around in that small town in Missouri, and all they did is they read Pump and Iron, or they watched Pump and Iron, and they read Muscle Magazine and Muscle and Fitness, and they did the splits, and they were actually pretty big dudes. They were still pretty muscular, believe it or not. And they're pretty fucking strong too. Some of them were athletic. So it does work. And there were times in my life I was a natural bodybuilder for a while, a successful one, where I did body splits and I got bigger and stronger, right? Looking back, would I have done things a little different? Probably. I had a pretty good split though. We can get into it later, maybe if I have time. But it does work, all right? And part of the reason it works is because you are actually taxing that muscle group more than once a week. And even if you only taxed it once a week, that's enough. So, muscle protein synthesis, it does kind of taper off after 48 hours, right? So you should hit a muscle group every 48 to 72 hours. I'm not arguing with the science here. That's pretty good advice, right? But there's a couple things. The more advanced you get, it kind of goes into the HIIT, which I rag on a lot, high intensity training. And when they say you should only hit a muscle group every 6 days with low volume, that's kind of more true for really advanced athletes. So the longer you've been lifting, the longer it takes for you to recover and the less frequency you can use with the same amount of intensity. There's a lot of reasons for that, but you develop more tissue, so it's harder systemically to recover all that. You're able to innervate it better, and you have faster rate coding, things like that for your nervous system. So it takes your nervous system longer to recover. So believe it or not, novice athletes can work out much more frequently and intensely intensely, like relative intensity, than advanced athletes, because their relative intensity is much more intense. So if, take a novice athlete and let's say he can deadlift 200 pounds and he does 5 sets of 5 at 150. Well, over the course of that workout, I suck at math, but I don't know how much that was, but I know it's a lot less than an advanced athlete whose max is 600 pounds and he does 5 sets of 5 at 500 pounds. He did much more work on a nervous system that wasn't 5 or 6 times more powerful than the other person's. So, and he damaged a much larger amount of tissue, and his organs and his regenerative abilities aren't 5 times greater than the novice athlete. So he's going to take him longer or her longer to recover. So there's that. So when we say, muscle tissue synthesis peaks at 48 to 72 hours, it's like, whoa, like, hold on, man. Like, it's just like the people that went back and said like, oh, you can only digest 20 grams of protein, so everything else is just waste. It's like, really? So you didn't read that study. That study wasn't somebody eating 20 grams of protein. They literally injected like whey isolate into their veins. And then they measured when nitrogen balance peaked, basically. And so it's like, and that was at about 20 grams of protein. And like, it didn't factor in body weights. So you're saying like if somebody's 300 pounds, they can digest 20 grams. If somebody's 80 pounds, they can only use 20 grams. So I love, like, trainers still say that you can only use 20 grams of sitting. So if I'm 250 pounds and I need about 200 grams of protein a day, so that means I got to eat 8 meals. It's like people don't use their fucking heads. It's like they completely lack common sense. So it's like, so when I like I ate a meal at 2 p.m. and I get sick, right? And I throw up at 10 p.m. and like there's steak and shit in my throw up that's still in my stomach. Like that, yeah. So like big meals, you digest slowly, right? It's like common sense, people. So when they say, I digress, like I tend to do. So when they say, muscle protein synthesis, it peaks. Yeah. And then after that, but it's not like you lose all your gains in a couple days. It's not like it's, if you wait 5 days before you tax on muscle again, it's like you start back at 0. That's not the case at all. So yeah, while it's maybe not optimal for most people, there's 2 reasons right there why it's still effective. One is that you do tax a body part more than once a week. And the other one is that after 48 to 72 hours, it is not like you go back to baseline. For 2, a lot of people, they like to use the gym for a lot of different reasons, right? And they like to use it frequently. And it's not just soreness in one muscle group, it's systemic fatigue, right? So like a lot of dudes, they like to go to the gym and play basketball, or they like to go and do some cardio or like HIIT workouts and stuff. So it just fits them better to like, they go to the gym and they do pickup basketball for like an hour with their friends. And then they go after that and they hit like chest for 30 minutes, maybe. That works well with their schedule because they don't want, and they like to play pickup basketball 4 times a week. And it's like, well, then I have to find 2 more times a week to do an exhausting total body workout. Some people like that. Some people don't. Right. So some dudes, they like to go play their pickup basketball or their pickleball, and then for an hour, and then let's say they can spend 2 total hours away from the house, and then they go and they get half-hour workout in or 45-minute workout in and drive home. And in a 45-minute workout, yes, you can do a total body workout in 45 minutes, but we're going to get that in a minute. It's much more practical for them to just hit 1 body part or maybe 2, right? And ideally, like upper, they'd superset, push and pull. That'd be great, But sometimes they're tired and they don't want to do that. They want to just do a set of bench press and sit there for 3 minutes and then do a couple more and then go over and do some flies and then do a couple sets of push downs and go the fuck home. And it's okay, right? We love to judge people, right? We love to use all our exercise knowledge to be like, oh, well, you should be supersetting that with a pull. It's more optimal. That's not how real athletes don't lay on their back and push. So you're not doing an athletic activity. It's like, really, this motherfucker just played an hour of fucking basketball where you don't even play a sport. So you're going to say that dude's not athletic because he likes to do bench press. As much as I rag on bench press and say like it's maybe not the best exercise or it's not perfectly safe, it's still an effective exercise, very effective exercise for strengthening your anterior upper body chain. So another thing is too, I love it when fucking weak dudes say shit about being strong. It's like, you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. So if you have 45 minutes and you're not a strong dude, you can get a good workout in because it doesn't take you long to warm up for your main lifts because your main lifts really aren't that heavy. So if you can squat 185 pounds, like as a max, or 200 pounds, I'll give you 2 bills, right? If you can squat 2 bills, you can probably do 1 or 2 warm-up sets. You can be ready to squat your 2 bills. But if a dude squats 400 pounds, especially if he's over the age of 25, it's going to take him a lot longer to warm up for that set. So here's another argument for body part splits is if you do total body, you have to warm up for every single movement pattern. And if you have a limited amount of time, that could be an issue. So yeah, it's always fucking weak ass dudes, man. They're like, yeah, you can get a great workout in 45 minutes. Yeah, you can break a sweat and you can feel your muscles burn and you can feel strong, but guess what? You ain't strong. Like, it's good. Like, don't get me wrong. It's better than nothing, man. Like, yeah, it keeps you fit and you feel good. And that's great. No, and I mean, no hate in that regard, but keep your mouth shut as far as giving advice to actually strong people, because you can go in and you can do a couple sets of push-ups and a set of bench press and you feel like you worked your chest, and you did, and you worked your chest enough to stay slightly stronger than the average person on the street that doesn't work out. And you can be proud of your 165-pound bench press, but don't give advice to a dude that's bench pressing 400 pounds, because that won't work for him. If he tried to go in and do 2 warm-up sets and then hit his max weight, he would tear something badly. So, dude, once you get strong, you need longer to train. And it's not because you need longer because you're doing more of your working sets. No, you just need longer to prep. Especially as we get older, we have shoulder issues and elbow issues and wrist issues because we've lived a full life. That's another thing. Some of these people giving fucking fitness advice to people, they haven't fucking done shit in their life. They haven't fucking, done static line jumps and 20-mile-an-hour winds. They haven't fucking, played 6 years of football where they're having like nerve damage to their spine and, arthritis in their joints from surgeries that didn't go great. They fucking haven't really lived in their life. They're just now discovering fitness like in their 30s, and they feel great because they haven't done anything to brutalize their body for the last 30 years. So they're like rolling their eyes at dudes that have a lot of aches and pains and they're just assuming that it's the way they train that have caused that, and not just the way they've lived their life overall for the last 35 years. But anyway, so when you're older and you got some arthritis and you got some tendonitis going on and, you got this funky shoulder from a couple surgeries or whatever it is, sometimes you might need 30, 35 minutes to warm up a movement pattern before you can really hit heavy weights safely. And total body training for those dudes might not be optimal, may not be what they even want to do. So, all these influencers out there, a lot of them just little dudes, man. And they're just really giving this condescending advice about how everyone should train. It's like, just stay in your lane. And your lane is great, man. It's great for you, And I know, you wouldn't want to be a 250-pound dude with a lot of muscle that maybe doesn't move as well. They can't do the calisthenics, but they like being strong and they like being able to squat 500 pounds. And believe it or not, if you got into a bar fight with one of those dudes, all things being equal, you'd probably get your fucking ass kicked, because size does matter. And while size isn't the most important thing, right? Skill at fighting is, other than the fact, I love little dudes that never fight, that like, size doesn't matter in a fight, It's like, well, yeah, it does. That's why there's weight classes in fighting, right? Because size really matters in a fight. And unless you're a very skilled fighter, and doing jiu-jitsu a couple times a week does not necessarily make you a skilled fighter, okay? Unless you're a skilled fighter, especially a person that fights a lot in a bar, and in a bar or an environment like that, jiu-jitsu has limited value because of all the sharp objects and slippery floors and, dangerous objects and things that can happen. So you might have a really good arm bar or a rear naked choke, and you might not even get to utilize that because a bigger dude picked you up and slammed you on your head into a floor, which is much different than a mat. So no hate on jiu-jitsu guys. I mean, that's fantastic. Like, that's great. And they would kick my ass, I'm sure. Maybe even most of them even in a bar, but it's a different world. And I think some of us get a little too big for our britches, right? And it's a world where we are protected by laws and we can say things to bigger guys, and bigger guys don't fucking crush us. And so, we think that, he's not functional. He can't even move. He doesn't have good mobility. Okay. He's still strong as shit. Just be careful. You better not let him get his hands on you, because it probably won't end great for you. And the dude might, God forbid, he might have a back day. He might have an arm day. And he might also kick your ass in a bar fight. Like, A lot of things don't really correlate. They don't make sense in our heads. It's like, well, I don't get it because I do CrossFit and I train jiu-jitsu. It's like, yeah, but you're 145 pounds and you're not a great athlete naturally. And that dude kind of is. He grew up fighting in bars and he's mean as fuck and he's big as fuck and he will hurt you badly. So it's good. I'm glad you guys are proud of yourselves for what you do. You should be. It's admirable. But be careful not to take that pride in what you do and turn into judgment on how other people train is what I'm saying. So basically sum it up. Some people would make it to the gym frequently, but don't want to spend a lot of time in the gym, or they like to do other stuff in the gym other than lifting weights. They don't like to be systemically drained every time. Training body parts has benefits to other body parts as well. There's no detriment to athleticism if you train body part splits. It doesn't really help athleticism as much, but sure. And then it leaves energy for other things in your life, basically. So that day, So anyway, the main point of this wasn't just to defend body split training. It wasn't to convince you that you need to do body split training. But if you like to do body split training, it doesn't mean it's worthless. It doesn't mean you're wasting your time. It doesn't mean, and if you get stronger, guess what? Getting stronger in and of itself, if you make stronger push muscles and stronger pull muscles and stronger leg muscles, that enhanced strength will, to some extent, enhance your athleticism to a point. So it's not a waste of time, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, what keeps us going to the gym? And there's health benefits to just having bigger muscles. There's health benefits to just having stronger muscles. And it's what some people like to do. And if you like to do it, then do it, right? I would encourage you maybe to step outside your comfort zone. And this includes people that love total body training. Maybe try body split training for a couple weeks. I have like 14 different programs on my app right now, and there's all different kinds of splits in there. Several of them are total body. Sometimes it's a mix. They'll have an upper day, a lower day, and a total day. Sometimes it's 3 total days, but one is hypertrophy, one is strength, one is power. Sometimes some of the programs have a push, a pull, and a legs day. Some of them have a major minor day where it's like a major chest day, but it's like a minor arms day. And then later in the week, they'll have a major arms day, but they'll get a little bit of chest in. That's the body split that I used when I used to bodybuild. It worked well for me. Right. So, on back, like I'll have a major back day and it'll be a minor shoulder day. And later in the week, I'll have a major shoulders, minor back. And then for legs, I'll have a major quad day. And then I'll have a major glute hamstring day. So there's tons of different splits. Some powerlifters that I used to work with, man, some of those dudes did push pull, but it was like push like squats and bench press or squats and overhead press. And then their pulls would be like deadlift and, pull-ups or rows. And it worked well for them. So really the split you should do really matters more on like what your life is like and what you prefer rather than there being one optimal split. But yes, I stand by what I said, total body, all things being equal, total body is probably the way to go. There's very few top level programs that you see that don't do kind of a total body split, at least for a significant portion of the year, and it's for good reason. But that doesn't mean it's the only way to train. And don't be so, if you're a total body guy, if you're a functional fitness guy, and I love all that stuff. I love landmine training and TRX training. I love it, right? Don't be so fucking snooty is what I'm trying to say. And let's be encouraging and see value in what other people are doing, right? And if we can view things with context and perspective, then we can be more adaptable for one. We can be a benefit to other people. And we can get better advice because we can preface what we say with a measured tone, measured reasoning that puts things into context for people. And everything is not black and white. The world, believe it or not just with morality, but with all things, is shades of gray. Okay? So I'll wrap it up. I won't keep you longer, but that was my defense of body split training. And I hope you all have a good day.